All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we are going to be checking out OP08, and we're going to do a little bit of a draft guide. We're going to be, I'm going to be walking you guys through some top picks, at least in my personal opinion, on what you should be choosing for a draft in OP08. Because for those who are not aware, okay, the release date in the West for OP08 is September 13th. So that means, typically speaking, the pre-release events will happen 1 week before then, which is which will be the 6th of September. It's August 28th at the time we're recording this. So literally Friday next week might be some people's first pre-release event for OP08. Okay, it should be mine. I'm very excited for it, but I can't wait. This should be a good time. So we're going to be talking about what you should look for in those drafts, get you ready for it, give you some time to study up and get a good idea of what to expect for the OP08 sealed format. All right. So what you're getting into, guys. Actually, let me give a quick layout because, of course, you guys know I like to have a little bit of something for everybody in here. Let me give you a quick layout for what we're going to be getting into today. I do apologize, guys. It's been a long day for me. That's why this video is getting out so late. I just got home, record the video, and then ship it out. You know what I mean? So bear with me today, guys. I'm running on fumes. But first things first, we're going to head over to the lab. We're going to check out a game of Jewelry Bonney versus Reiju. That should be a lot of fun. After that, we are going to hop over to, straight to the One Piece website and start running through the cards. We're going to go straight through all the OP08 cards. And I will go through these very quickly, just kind of, I'm going to be giving you guys some ideas of what to look for, right? And, let me not get too far ahead of myself. I think you'll see what I'm saying when we get there. We'll check that out. Excuse me. And I will also link in the comment section below. I've already gone through OP08 from top to bottom, like all the leaders and all of the colors. So if you just want to like a deep dive into each new card coming out and all the new colors or all the cards coming out from every single color, I will link that in the comment section below. I have an entire playlist ready for that. Anyway, after we knock out the OP08 draft guide portion of the video, we will hop over to the sim and we'll finish off with a game on the sim of me playing Eridor Lucci, OP07 Air Lucci. And that'll be a fun game. I believe it's versus Bonney. I'll show you guys the deck list after that, and we'll wrap it up in that way. Okay. You guys know what you're getting into. Let's go ahead and hop into this. Let's dive straight into it. I'll have everything linked in the general description. I'll have all relevant deck lists and links in the comment section below. All right, let's do this. Okay, first things first. Let me go ahead and move the leader here. Or, excuse me, I got Rayleigh on there just because that's one of the secrets from OP08. Let me fast forward to the beginning of this game. Okay, there we go. So, this is the lab. We call this the VV lab, or just the lab for short for any new players who don't know what's going on here. This will be a game that was submitted by the community. If you're interested in doing this, all you have to do is record your game using software like OBS, upload it to YouTube, and then send me the link over on the Discord, on the VV Theory Discord, under a tab called Review My Game. It goes in there. I give you the thumbs up as soon as I see it, and then I throw it in the lines. Okay, so, and if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask down in the comment section below. But just know that this is not me playing. This is fan-submitted, community-submitted videos of gameplay that they want reviewed. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and hop into this, guys. And of course, everything I just said there is totally free of charge. Okay, all that's totally free of charge. Okay, there's no cost associated. Now, let's go ahead and hop into this game. Volume is off, speed is on 2x, and let's go. So Reiju is probably going to be seeing a lot more play than it used to, and it was already seeing quite a bit of play. But now the red-purple law is banned. I would expect to see much more Reiju in the format. Okay, the Bonney player decides not to play out the 2-cost Rosinante there. I don't think that's a play mistake or anything like that, because especially seeing that card in the trash we just saw, seeing Niji in the trash, he can pop that very easily. Okay, it looks like they're going to swing for 7. I would just take this, sure. Bonney doesn't really mind taking life early on, especially if it's just 1 life a turn. And then, stabilizing around 1 life and dropping down some blockers on blockers on blockers into like a Eustace Kid, and then they kind of stabilize from there. But okay, we're going to play out the Rouge. That's a very, very solid play there, very standard. This Reiju did get an Akiji in the trash. They do have the event, so this is a very solid game already started for Reiju. they're going to play around the trigger as much as they, or excuse me, not the trigger. They're going to play around the leader effect as best as they can. They do give a 2K counter, or not a leader effect, guys. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, let me pause real quick. So real quick, just to finish my thought there, they were trying, the Reiju was trying to play around the leader effect. But yeah, I did, there we go, guys. I'm confusing myself now. I apologize. So they were trying to play around the leader effect there, which can tap down a character. Well, guess what? If you swing for 6 first, and there's no target on the board, well, then it's the leader effect doesn't matter. Then they play out a character that can rush afterwards, and they can swing in with both the character and the leader this turn. Okay, now back to the game. Okay, very well played by the Reiju player. However, now for the rest of the game, you know, that's going to get locked down for the most part, right? Because you're only going to get to swing with one of them, either the Reiju or the 7-cost Ikiji. But I do see a Bonney in hand, and that can just straight up lock down a character for the turn. So going to start off with a poke for 5. I do like that. I think that's fine. Going to play out a Basil Hawkins here. 6-cost, 7K blocker, cannot be removed from the field unless there's nothing on the board to tap for your opponent. Okay, so they're going to go ahead. You know, they're using the stage first. We pass it back to the Reiju, of course. They play out. They use the stage. They get a Vinsmoke Sora. They're going to play out the Sora to trash the Reiju and draw the Vinsmoke Niji back. And let's see what they decide to do here. Usually people, I mean, I don't know. I guess it really depends. I've seen quite a few people use the Sora, the 2K counter there, to get a card back, but a lot of times I feel like they don't. Okay, so right here we need to lock down the leader. That would be the right play here in my personal opinion. Okay, let's see. I don't know what they're waiting on. Okay, very good. And let me make sure we're on 2x speed, guys. I do have to make sure. Okay, we're good. Okay, so they lock down the leader and they give up the Uruj. And it looks like next turn we're going to be on 8 Dawn. So maybe they're planning on playing out... it looks like it might be like a Cavendish into Uruj. Will that be enough? I think we'll have enough to do that. So that might be just fine. Okay, so it looks like... All right, so Cavendish... by the way, they played out the Niji last turn at the end of the Reiju's turn. We're going to swing for 6 here, and then we're going to have exactly 4 left to play out the next Uruj. Very heads-up play, very strong play there. Getting full value from your Uruj, your blocker there. Because, guys, if you have multiple of them, it doesn't really matter. You only need to get 1 Dawn active at the end of your turn, unless you're running some type of event version. If you're running like an event version, like a specific kind, that's fine. But most, you know, if you're running an event-specific special kind of Bonney, sure, then you could run like Dellinger in there. You can run cards that stay, you know, even Carrot, the 5-cost 2K counter Carrot or Uruj to stand up a lot of Dawn at the end of turn. But in the standard Bonney list, you don't need more than 1 Dawn per turn. Reiju's going to play out the Sora there. Let's see what they do. They're going to swing for 9. I don't have any problem taking this because, yeah, lock down the leader. Take it down to 2. Okay, we're going to 2K, 1K. I think that's fine, too. But I don't really mind taking that hit there. Unless we're trying to play around a pudding. Maybe the Bonney player is trying to play around pudding. Wow, they just do a blank swing there with Niji. Okay, then they're going to play out the other one, bouncing back the Uruj because they have no other target. It can either KO a 2 or less or bounce a 4 or less. It has no other option. Okay, here we go. Establish the 9-cost there. Actually, it looks like we can swing here, get 2 open. Very good. I think we kind of messed up. We could have got 1 more extra swing in for the most part, unless we want to play out the Bonney here. What I was going to say was we kind of wasted 1 Dawn, quote-unquote, but hey, didn't matter either way. We got the character down that we needed, and now anything they turn sideways is going to get picked on, right? Or we might even just go for game. I don't know. Guys, for those who are new to the channel, I have no idea who wins these. You know, like I have not watched or seen these games. I have no idea who wins. Okay, they swing in for... Hang on, I'm sorry, guys. We do have to go back there. I missed it. I was yapping. So they swing for 7 with Ikiji. We tap down the Niji. They swing in with Reiju. 2K count, or 1K counter out, excuse me. And it looks like they're about to play Judge. If I had to guess, they did not invest any Dawn, and they snap... Yeah, they're going to snap play Judge here, replacing all the characters on the board outside of maybe the Ikiji, the red 7-cost, and then they're going to pull a bunch of them back here. Yeah, just replace the Sora with a new Reiju, replace the Reiju with a new Ikiji, and replace the Niji with a new Niji. And now they get to do all that over again. I would use, yeah, draw a card from the leader effect, of course, and then I would play out the Reiju first to see what kind of options you have. Now we have, you know, we can bounce. We can't bounce anything back with Niji, unfortunately. So, talking about the Reiju player cannot, obviously. Yeah, so But right here, minus 2,000 to the Cavendish would be my personal, yeah, that's what I would suggest. See, however, that's why I think we should have swung 7 into the, I think the Reiju player should have swung 7 into the Cavendish on their first attack. That would have cost cards out of hand, and we could have gone about it that way. But hey, okay. All right, so hear me out real quick. I'm going to pause it for a second. I think we could have blocked and 2K countered there, right? Because it was 7 and 7. Yeah, I think we could have blocked and 2K with our Basil Hawkins, and then had 1 extra attack this turn, or more, or potentially more. But okay, not the worst thing in the world. Swing for 5. Let's see if they have any. If they have a counter, they need to use it. Okay, they use a 1K counter. Swing for 7. Should be able to wrap up the game here. Okay, load everything on the Zorro except 3 Dawn. So swing for 16. Swing for 16. Swing for 16. GG. There's pretty much just no way to get out of this, and that should be game. They had a bunch of 1Ks. GG. That was a fun one. Really good game there. So I guess it didn't matter saving the Cavendish in the end, but I still think technically speaking it would have been the right play with all things considered. But calculated, swing 5, swing 7, swing 16 3 times. Seems good. Really good stuff there. Okay, now let me go ahead and get set up, guys, real quick. Y'all give me just a minute. That was a really good game for the lab today. Y'all give me just a second. I got to black out the screen, move my face over, turn that off, and we're going to head over to the card list now. We got to talk about leaders first. Hang on, don't worry. I'm going to get us set up here. Excuse me. All right, take off the blackout here. Let me go ahead and bring up a something I want to have above my head over here on the right. So whenever you're drafting, doing a sealed draft when it comes to One Piece, every store might have their own special rules when it comes to what leaders you're allowed to use. But typically speaking, you can use any leader in the game. You're allowed to use any leader in the game in a sealed draft that they have access to. Excuse me. And what you can do is you can play with any card in your deck, no matter what color it is. However, you can only have 40 cards in the deck, altogether. And one other thing is it's whatever you open in 6 sealed boosters. Okay, OP08 sealed boosters. Real quick, we're going to talk about the leaders, and then I'm going to talk about what it says above my head, talking about the bruisers, blockers, counters, removal, and draw. Excuse me, guys. So when it comes to leaders, there are some leaders that are just very, very strong. Okay, Jewelry Bonney is an extremely high-level leader, and yes, I know that's OP07. Doesn't matter. When it comes to the sealed format, currently, if things change in the future, I don't know, but currently, at the time of me recording this, if you're going to a sealed format, you are allowed to use any leader in the game. Okay, as long as it is, just any leader in the game, right? So with that in mind, there are 5 or 6 leaders that I have to recommend. Number 1 is Jewelry Bonney. It is one of the most oppressive leaders that you can get your hands on when it comes to sealed, because you're already fighting for the board and everything in a sealed game, and you don't have a fully constructed list. You don't have all this removal and ways to play around the leader effect. You're just playing down vanillas a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Just trying to get as big a bodies on the board as you can. Well, we just saw what Bonney can do. Lock down one attack every single turn as soon as they have 1 character on the board. That's all it takes. Now they're locking down an attack every turn. So Jewelry Bonney is a very big pick that I would go with for sealed. One thing I do want to mention real quick before we go any further is some stores do have special rules, like I was saying earlier, and they might force you to run something like the all-color Luffy. If they do, that's on your store. That's not the general rules. That might be a store type of preference thing. Okay, someone correct me in the comment section below if I'm off on that. I don't know if they've changed the rules recently, but last time I checked, you can have any leader you want to, unless it's specific house rules. Now, some other leaders to consider. There were 2 really strong leaders in the very beginning of the game, and that was Eustace Kid, the 5-cost, ST02 Eustace Kid, and then Zorro. We're talking like all the way back. I believe it was OP01 Zorro. It was OP01 or OP02. I can't even remember anymore. I believe it was OP01 Zorro. Those were very strong all the way back in the day. Green Yellow Yamato is also a very powerful leader, okay, for a sealed draft. And there's probably a few others that I've missed. There's going to be a bunch of others. There are some spicy choices as well we got to talk about. Number 1 is Red Yellow Sabo. Someone, I have no idea. I don't remember who it was that said it a while back. But guys, that is a very spicy leader, but it is hard countered by Bonney, just like it's very much, not hard countered, but it's still countered as well in the standard format. It's also countered in the sealed format. So if you predict to see a lot of Bonnies at your local tournament, probably wouldn't go Red Yellow Saba. But otherwise, it is a very powerful leader in sealed because you're gaining a life every turn. That adds up very quickly. What else? Oh, and another one. Black Yellow Lin. Like I said, guys, if you are gaining a life in sealed, it goes a long way. And Nell's pretty decent as well. There's a few others. You know, run whatever you want to. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. But yeah, you're going to get to pick and choose whatever leader you want to. Now, let's get into OP08. There are 5 core archetypes that we're going to be looking for in cards when it comes to our sealed draft. Let me put my glasses on so I can read real quick, guys. We're going to be looking for bruisers. What do I mean bruiser? And don't worry, we will blast through all of these, guys. Just give me just a moment, though. Hang on. A bruiser. Okay, this is perfect. This card right here is a 6-cost, 8,000 power, 1K counter common card. It's not uncommon. It's not rare. It's not SR. It's not secret. This is a common. Notice those stats. Vanilla characters are extremely valuable in sealed. I don't know about like a 1 or 2 cost vanilla character unless you want to play Zoro, but generally speaking, these big body characters like this 6-cost 8,000 power body, that's massive. These are cards you're going to want to snatch up and fill out your deck with. These bruisers are extremely important. So when I say bruiser, guys, I mean a character that has a base power of 5,000 or more. Okay. So 5,000 power being the standard attack you need to make your opponent do something when you swing into them, when you swing into their leader. Okay. Now another card, blockers. I do apologize, guys. You're going to have to read on, actually, let me make my head go a little bit smaller here, and then I'll pull down the this thing right here. There we go. There we go. So we talked about bruisers. Now let's talk about blockers. Blockers are also very important when it comes to sealed because there's not a lot of removal. So even though this is a little 2-cost, 2,000 power, 1K counter blocker, seems worthless, right? It seems so terrible. It's not. It's not terrible at all. When it comes to sealed, having something like this will allow you to smash in with your characters and still be able to protect them after you do it. And guys, this comes with time and experience, but you're not going to want to play out your blocker until after you've done all your swings, because your opponent might not be thinking like, oh, he's going to defend it with a blocker next turn, like, you know, a character you might have swung with. Like, let's just say you swung out with this guy Mashuru. Okay, you smash all in with all your cards, swing with your leader, swing with this character, and then you're about to pass the turn, but with that last 2 Dawn, oh, I'm just going to drop this card real quick. That changes their entire plan. If they knew you were going to play that blocker, they might have blocked differently, they might have countered differently. It changes all the math. So a very important card there, blockers. Blockers in general, not just this one. Next up is counters. Now, yes, any card with a counter on the side is important. However, cards that are a little more rare in draft are 2K counters. Typically speaking, a lot of 2K counters are like uncommon or better, or like uncommon or more rare. Every now and then there will be some 2K counters that are like, you know, let me see if I can find one real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to zip through these real quickly. Every now and then you'll find a 2K counter that's like common. See, this is a rare 2K counter, guys. Even though some people have probably never even seen this card, Dr. Hereluck. And this is, you know, I'm not going to read it. Pause and read it if you want to know what it does. This is a 2K counter, but it is a rare. Okay. Let me keep going. So I'm just trying to find like some of the rarities on these. Oh, here's a 2K counter, and this one's uncommon. So, okay, case in point there. I'm not saying there's no common rares, but here's what I'm trying to say. You're going to want, remember, it's going to be about a 40-card deck, right? I would say about 8 2K counters minimum. Now, if you get less, you might not even draw 8 2K counters, guys. Understand that I have gotten sealed drafts where I've not even gotten 8 2K counters out of all 6 of the packs that I opened. So you're going to, I think 8 is kind of the perfect number, where 1 out of 5 of the cards you draw are more than likely going to be a 2K counter. You see the math there. If you have 8 of a card in a 40-card deck, that's 1 out of 5 of the deck, you know, 1/5 of the deck. So there's a little bit of math to that. If you can get up to 10, I don't know if I'd go much further than 10, because then you might just have nothing in your hand, just all 2K counters. You need to have some kind of, strength, to balance it with. But 8 to 10 2K counters, you're in good shape. Now, removal. This is usually one of the hardest things to come by. Let me start all the way in the front here. Removal is very, very rare, guys. It is just very, very rare. By the way, Carrot, I have to say this right now, probably just about as good as Bonney. So we're going to get into this in a minute. If you draw some cards like Inarashi and you pop open a Carrot in your packs, there is something to be said there. There is something to be said, but that's getting more along the lines of constructed. Not everyone gets that lucky. First of all, to just pop this leader open in their draft, and then also to get an Inarashi as well and all that stuff. Something to consider at least. All right, now back to what I was saying, removal. I may have overlooked some removal, but I haven't seen any removal yet. Okay, here's one version, Jozu. He's a 6-cost, 7,000 power, 1K counter character. So he's a beater, right? He's a bruiser character. Like I said, he has more than 5,000 power, and he has a counter, and you can return one of your characters other than this character to the owner's hand, and then you can return up to one character with a cost of 6 or less to the owner's hand. Being able to bounce characters back, excuse me, guys. Being able to bounce characters back to the owner's hand, a 6 cost or less, that's excellent in a draft, guys. That slows them down so much, and look what you developed in the process. And you might have only bounced back some little 1 cost searcher like Wanda here, or you might have only bounced back some little 2 or 3 cost character. Here's a common 2K counter, by the way, guys. Randomly clicked on Aphilandra. This is a common 2,000 counter. Just a good card that you'd be able to bounce back and then use as a 2K counter if you had to with a card like Jozu, right? Just a very, very powerful synergy there. But let me just go through a few more removal cards just to see if we can find any. We're going to talk about boss characters in a minute. Let me just go straight to the end because I know there's one all the way back here. So this right here would be considered removal. Pause and read Rayleigh if you don't know what he does. This can pop a 6,000 power or less character. Just right on, by himself. Just pops a 6K or less and then gives another target minus 2,000 for the turn until the start of your next turn. Okay, and or excuse me, until the end of your opponent's next turn. That is technical. There is a difference. Let's not get into it, but you get the point. The bottom line is on their next turn, that character is going to be minus 2K. This is an excellent card. It's a secret rare, of course, but if you pull this, guys, yeah, this is a solid card in sealed. Because you're popping a 6K or less, you're making another character smaller, and you're developing an 8,000 power body. This card has everything but a counter. Okay, and then last but not least, draw. Okay, draw cards. Let's talk about draw real quick. There's not much draw, period. Okay, let me see it. Okay, number one, if you bust open Jewelry Bonney, this is an auto include. It has a trigger. It has draw 2, trash 1 for just attaching 1 Dawn and taking a life from your opponent. It has a 1K counter. It's a 3 cost 4K body. This card is outrageously good, guys, especially for sealed. It's a way to draw cards. Excellent card right there. And again, it's card draw. Technically, Nami is card draw as well, but you have to trash a trigger card to get this effect. It's kind of hard to pull off in a draft format because remember, these are not constructed decks. They're just whatever you could put together real quick. Okay. Excuse me. Let's go over to here. I'm trying to see if we... I don't recognize all these without being able to read the font, but I'm trying to see if we have any more card draw. Okay, well, one card draw, let me go back to it. Unlikely, but if you get Jack, it's not technically card draw. It's actually cycle, just as good. If you can get any form of cycle or card draw, that is what we're going for. Okay, guys, that is definitely what we're going for. Okay, let me go over to blue cards real quick just to see. Not this one. Hang on one second, guys. I guess technically if you get enough cards from a certain type, you can run the searcher for it. Like the example I was going to say was this one right here. The, wait, not this one, excuse me, this one. This is a top, top 3 searcher for any kind of Whitebeard Pirates or Monkey D. Luffy card. So, I guess if you get enough in your deck, go for it. But, that's a pretty limited effect there. Okay. Another thing to consider with bruisers is cards that fill out the board very easily. Like, for example, this guy right here. Pause and read it. He can play out a 4 less, but this one's so specific, it's hard to justify running. But it is still a 5 cost 6,000 power character with a 1K counter with potential upside, so I think it is worth running if you pop it open and you don't have any other better choices. Okay, what else? I'm not going to go through every one of these, like I said, guys, but any kind of card draw you can find. Oh, Namuel, I'll end on this example. Namuel is a stud when it comes to sealed, guys. This is a 3 cost, 2,000 power, 1k counter, blocker, and draw 2 from the top of your deck, and then put 2 cards from your hand to the top or bottom of your deck in any order. And it is also Whitebeard Pirates type, so if you do get enough Whitebeard Pirate stuff, you will be able to maybe run a searcher like what we just looked at here. Something like this, or maybe even this tempo card here that can play cards off the top of your deck. There might be something worth considering there. You know, it might be worth considering. Even another leader I should talk about, guys, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place right now, is Marco's probably not the worst leader in the world for a draft, because you're able to fix your hand every single turn while reducing the power of a character every single turn and battling for the board. But it does only have 4 life, so if you do not get enough blockers, might want to you know, consider against it. We'll have to see. You know, you'll have to see. Okay, one more thing you want to look for, and this goes under the category of bruisers, but it is bosses. You're going to want 1 or 2 just massive characters. Like I said, this guy is really good, but if you can get something bigger, like let's go to, like for example, hey, this is a secret rare, but yeah, if you bust this card open, no brainer, you drop this card in your deck, you drop it on your 10 Dawn turn, and you say, hey, I hope you can win next turn, or I will, right? That's how that works, right? That's how that works. This card is just outstanding. Any cards with Rush are also cards to look for. Very, very important in Sealed. I'm trying to find just a few more, or just at least like 1 or 2 more big boss characters. Another really solid character. We'll go over these again in a second where we go through everything real fast. Massive character. This is a common guy, 7 cost 9k. That's a big pick right there. That's a great pick. Jack is just good, period. It's a boss character. It's massive. It cycles cards. It KOs 3 or less characters. This card is an all-in-one. If you bust open Jack in your sealed draft, nice job. You did a good job. You did a very good job. Okay, we'll show Kaido, and then we'll show Whitebeard. This is just an absolute boss right here. This card is a unit. It is a 9 cost, 9,000 power character, and then on play, you get to trash a 7 or less. Not KO, trash. So, like, there's pretty much going to be no way to get around this that I'm aware of off the top of my head. If they have a 7 or less character, he's out of here. And then one more I wanted to look at was Whitebeard. Here we go. This is an SR, a great finisher in draft. I'm not a huge fan of this card in Constructed and Standard. But, guys, when it comes to draft, this card is crazy. This card is crazy in Sealed. There's no way to take care of him. When he comes into play, all your opponent's characters cannot swing unless he trashes 2 cards per swing. They can still swing with their leader, but anything else just is going to have to trash 2 from hand. He's a 12k body, and it's just an SR, so that's actually very nice, guys. That's actually really good, where you might actually see quite a few of these in every tournament, right, and whatever pre-releases you go to. Okay, now we are going to just kind of blast through every single card in the set. I'll talk about the leaders too. We'll talk about the leaders as well, and we'll go through it in that way. Again, I want to preface this video. I will link down, or this part of the video, I will link down in the comment section below an entire OP08 deep dive on every color and every leader. I will post it down there if you want to see my, full reaction to each card. Okay? All right. Now, you know what you're getting into. Let's dive into this part. Tony Chopper, I'm sorry, this is not a great leader when it comes to Sealed. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, guys. If you get mad at me in the comment section below, I understand. I'm not saying these are bad cards in Standard, by the way. I'm trying to say they're not great in Sealed, okay? Big difference. Marco is actually not a bad leader. This is worth trying. Hopefully someone tries this leader out and can tell us how it goes in the comment section below. I do think there is some potential here because you're drawing a card every turn and cycling through your deck that way, and you're fighting for the board. I think this is actually a very good leader. Blocker, excellent. We'll take it every time. Kuro Marimo, on play, if you have chess, this is too specific. Now, I will say this. He is at least a beater. Like, he is at least a bruiser. 4 costs 5k with a 1k counter. If you can't find any other better cards, sure, fill your deck up with this and pretend he doesn't have an on-play effect. Here's chess. Okay, 3 costs 3k, 1k counter. Not the greatest card. I would not even play this card unless you do have the Kuro Marimo. Okay, and then Chess Marimo. This is your turn. If you have Kuro Marimo and Chess in your trash, this character gets plus 2,000. Who cares? It's a 5 cost 6k with a 1k counter. This one's actually worth running if you get one. And again, just pretending it's a vanilla character, like a vanilla light character. Okay, Tony Chopper, 3 cost 5k with no counter. It's actually not even that good, even though it does have potential upside. I guess if you draw enough animal characters, run it. But otherwise, this is just a 3 cost 5k vanilla card without a counter. It's actually subpar. Parallel art. 5 cost 6k, 1k counter. That's fine. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 power during this turn. So that's not bad, guys. That's actually very good in sealed. Dawn times 1, activate main once per turn. Add 1 card from the top of your life cards to your hand. This character gains rush. That's also not bad if you're trying to swing for lethal, guys. I think this is a great card for sealed. 3 cost 5k, 1k counter, solid. This is vanilla. Hiking Bear, 2k counter. We'll take it every time. Mushuru, I already talked about this. Guys, 6 cost 8ks, 7 cost 9ks, 4 cost 6ks are incredible. We take those every time. 3 cost 3,000 power card. This one is technically removal. This is worth running. Even though it's not a great card, it's a very light body. You're going to attach 2 to swing for 5, and then you could potentially KO a 5,000 or less. And if you can combo this with something like Red Blue Marco, this is actually not a bad card at all. 3 cost 4,000 power rush card by attaching 2. I would see this as a 5 cost 6k rusher. That's how I would interpret this card. Excellent card. Wapole, this is just a solid bruiser right here. We'll take it every time. Dr. Kureha, this is a searcher. You need to really caution against playing searchers. Unless you just got, half the deck you have is something it can search. I probably wouldn't even run it unless you just absolutely have to. Okay, Dr. Here Look, 2k counter. We'll take it every time. I'd Never Shoot You is the name of this one. This is a counter. Oh, by the way, this is, I forgot to mention these. We talked about 1k counters and 2k counters. Any kind of event counter, also usually pretty good. Let's see this one. Up to one of your leaders or characters gains plus 4,000 power during this battle, and then give up to one of your opponent's leader or characters minus 1,000 power during this turn. Trigger plus 1,000 for the turn. So this card is actually a very solid 2 cost. This is practically a 2 cost 5k. With potential trigger upside. This card's solid. Next up is Cloven Rose. This is a 2 cost with main. Up to 3 of your characters gain plus 1,000 during this turn. Then up to one of your opponent's characters gains minus 2,000 during this turn. Not bad. This is not bad. It's almost like removal. I think this is fine. Minus 3,000 on the trigger. I'm trying to go through this very quickly, guys, because we're going to go through every single card like this. Munch Mutation. Main/counter, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. Then up to one of your characters gains plus 3,000. Guys, I'm not a huge fan of this card, and the trigger pops a 5 or less, by the way, a 5,000 power or less. I'm not a huge fan of this card, but let me tell you something right now. In sealed, this is removal. In sealed, this is basically removal. Okay, Drum Kingdom. This is for all Drum Kingdom characters plus 1,000. We're going to skip it. Not great. Carrot. Actually a very good leader, okay? For all things considered, guys, this is actually an excellent leader in sealed. Yes, it will start to lose value over the course of the game, but if you can combo this with some of the cards we're going to look at, like this Inarashi here, it's actually an incredibly good leader. Inarashi, if your leader is Minx type, and that does still apply. 1 second, guys. Restrictions do still apply to characters, just no color restrictions, right? So in other words, I can play Inarashi in any of my decks, but if my leader's not Minx type, I don't get to use the on-play effect. Okay, hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section below. But this character, if your leader is Minx type, up to 2 of your opponent's rested characters that cost 5 or less are not untapping. They're not becoming active at the next refresh phase. Carrot, absolute must. Like this is an auto-include in any list you have. 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter, nothing to be, there's nothing lacking there. And then on play and when attacking, locking down a 7 or less. Guys, this card is a banger in sealed. Awesome art too on the alt art, very nice. Consulate, 3 cost 4,000 power, 1k counter, up to one of your opponent's rested characters that cost 4 or less will not become active. This is okay in sealed. It's not great though. I'm just going to be honest. It's like if you don't have anything else to fill the deck with and you have like 1 or 2 of these, it isn't uncommon for a reason. It's a decent card, but not a huge fan. Next up is a Shishilian. 3 cost 4,000 power, 1k counter. On play, up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less will not become active. This one, on the other hand, I think is very solid. I don't know. I guess they're both pretty good because this is an on play immediate results, and this one is a when attacking immediate results for larger potential with a 4 cost. Both are pretty good actually. Giovanni. 2 cost 3k. Dawn times 1 when attacking, up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 1 or less. Not so much this one. Okay, Tristan. This is a 1 cost 3k vanilla. It's okay, especially if you're going to try out Rush with something like maybe Dragon or Luffy or Zoro. This could be fine. Nekomamushi is a great card, guys. This is an outstanding card. 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter. On play, if your opponent has 7 or more rested cards, that means Dawn cards, leaders, stages, characters, anything and everything on their side that can be rested, this counts towards that. Understand one thing real quick for the newer players. An attached Dawn card is not rested, okay? There is an active Dawn card, rested Dawn card, and attached Dawn card. There is no other kind. So if it is attached, it is not rested. Just understand that, guys, even if the character swings. Peckham's here is a 4-cost 6K. That's a pretty good bruiser, but it has no counter. Not bad. Let me see something real quick. If this character is active, your Minx type characters with a cost of 3... sorry, guys, I got to turn my phone off real quick. There we go. Type characters with a cost of 3 or less other than Peckham's cannot be KO'd by effects. Okay, this is okay, but it's a little too specific for draft. But hey, if you have no other 4-cost 6K in the deck, we'll take it every time. Pedro, this is a rare. This is an absolutely incredible card in Sealed. 4-cost 5K, 1K counter with blocker and the potential to KO or rest down Dawn. We'll take it every time. Okay, this is just an alt art. Miyagi here is a on-play, a 3-cost 1K, 1K counter. On-play set up to one of your Minx type character cards with the cost of 2 or less is active. Not really what we're going for. Milky, 2K counter, we'll take it every time. This is a 1-cost 2,000 power 1K counter. Roddy, if your leader has the Minx type and your opponent has 7 or more rested cards, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 2 or less. Not really great, to be honest. Okay, Wanda, Searcher, again, I say the same thing about every Searcher. Use it if you somehow have like 50% of that type in your deck. BB, this is a vanilla. Not bad, actually. A 2-cost 4K, that is a solid turn 1 play on the draw. So, like, if you're going second, this is actually a very solid turn 1 play, to be honest. Electrical Luna. This can straight up win games, especially in Sealed. Auto include, guys, this card is outstanding. The trigger can rest up to one of your opponent's characters no matter what the cost. But look at that main, guys. All of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 7 or less will not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. We'll take it every time. Okay, I got to pick up the pace, guys. I'm sorry. Garchu, rest one of your Minx type characters and then rest one of your opponent's characters. That's actually not terrible for going for lethal. Trigger, draw a card. We would never sell a comrade to an enemy. Rest 2 of your characters. None of your characters can be KO'd by your opponent's effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. Trigger, rest a 3 or less. Rest a 3 or less. This card's kind of whatever, to be honest. Especially in Sealed. Like maybe in Constructed to be alright. Zhao, activate main. You may rest this stage. If your leader has the Minx type set up to one of your Dawn cards is active. Into your turn, stand up one of your Minx type characters. This is a rare stage. It's not something you should be looking for unless you have Carrot, unless you have Nekomamushi, unless you have Pedro, things like that. And then you might want to go Carrot, right, as your leader if you can. Okay, now to the blue cards. Atmos, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1K counter, excellent bruiser body, Whitebeard Pirates type. But the on-play is going to require you to have two or more Whitebeard Pirates. If you can replace the card, you should, unless you have lots of Whitebeard Pirates in your list. Or you have no other option. But 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1K counter, that is a solid body. 2K counter, we'll take it every time. Edward Weevil, 4 cost, 5K, 1,000 power. Dawn times 1 when attacking. Bounce a 3 or less to the owner's hand. Not bad. This is actually a very good card. And it's only an uncommon, so you might see 1 or 2 of these. Okay, Edward Weevil. We already talked about this. Auto include, outstanding bruiser here. Awesome alt art. Check out that alt art, guys. King Do, 2K counter, 4 cost, 4K body. We'll take it every time. Thatch, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1K counter. If this character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect or KO'd, okay, that means in battle, right? Trash this character and draw 1 card instead. Hang on 1 second. If this character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect or KO'd, trash this character and draw 1 card instead. So that could be very good, guys. This card, 4 cost, 5K, 1K counter. This is worth running for sure. KO'd, I believe that is talking about in reference to battle. I have not messed with this card enough, but I'm pretty sure this will draw a card if it gets KO'd. So there you go. Very good. Shakuyaku, 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter. Amazon Lily. I don't know why I'm reading the type. But this card, your turn. This is an interesting card, guys. Your turn, once per turn, when a character is removed from field by your effect, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, your opponent places 1 card from their hand at the bottom of their deck and then rests this character. So you can actually do some pretty cool shenanigans with this character. Okay, making them trash a card. It's not the greatest thing in the world in Sealed, but it's also not bad either. And it's a 5 cost, 6K body. We'll take it, right? Jozu, I already talked about this. Outstanding card. Here we go. 4 cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter, Sweet Pea. Excellent. This is a great vanilla card to pick up as soon as you see it. Just add it to the list of cards you're adding to the deck. 4 cost, 5K, 1K counter. This is still a good body even without the effect. But if you can also capitalize on the effect, we'll take it. Namuel, and guys, I'm trying to go over these as fast as I can. If you don't know what a card does, just pause it. Namuel, I already talked about this card. Outstanding card. Buckin, this is a 1 cost, 2,000 power, 1K counter. Your turn, on play, up to one of your Edward Weevil cards gains plus 2,000 power. This is not worth including at all. I'm sorry, guys. Unless you drew nothing but Edward Weevils, then it might be all right. Port Gastiers, this is just a strong 5-cost 6K, 1K counter. You reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Whitebeard Pirates type that costs 4 or less, you can play it right off the top of your deck. So, but here's the thing. Even if you don't have that card on the top of your deck, you're still getting information because you place the rest at the top or bottom of your deck in any, it's only going to be one card, right? But so let's say you reveal a card and you're like, oh, I do not want that card next turn. Okay, well, you can just put it at the bottom of your deck now. And it's a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter body. We'll take it every time. Okay, really nice alt art. That's really cool. Okay, thank you for loving me. This is a searcher. Again, proceed with caution, basically. It's up to viewer discretion is advised, I guess. You can't take our king this early in the game. I just want to say one more thing about these guys. When it comes to the searchers, like I said, I'm not saying you shouldn't run a searcher. I've seen people run searchers in sealed and do very, very well, if not win tournaments. You know what I mean? Like win local, sealed tournaments and stuff, pre-releases. I'm just saying you have to use these with caution. If you only have like 2 cards that are even searchable with this card, I guess it's still better than nothing, right? Because what if one of the searchable cards is the big man himself, right? What if one of the searchable cards is this? So you're always getting closer and closer to it. Again, you just have to use with caution. That's all I'm trying to say, guys. I don't want to make it sound like you should just never run these searches. I'm not trying to say that. Okay, let's keep going. You can't take our king this early in the game. This is a 3-cost counter. Up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 3,000 power during this battle, and then reveal 1 card from the top of your deck and play up to 1 character with a type including Whitebeard Pirates and a cost of 3 or less. Then place the rest at the top or bottom of your deck. Just not really what we're trying to do. It is technically a 3K counter, but you're having to leave 3 Dawn open to use it. Not a top priority with sealed. Phoenix Brand, this is a 4-cost main. Reveal 2 cards with Whitebeard Pirates from your hand. Place up to 1 character with a cost of 6 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. Not really a great form of removal because it's conditional where you have to reveal 2 Whitebeard cards. It also does not have a trigger. I would not take this unless just all the stars aligned for me. Moby Dick, this is a 2-cost trigger. Play this card. Stage, Whitebeard Pirates. Your turn, once per turn. When your character with a type including Whitebeard Pirates is removed from the field by an effect, draw 1 card. Then place 1 card from your hand at the top or bottom of your deck. So it's okay, I guess, but again, it's all focused around the Whitebeard Pirate stuff. All right, to the purple cards. King is a good leader. Or, it's an interesting leader. I got to be careful when I say something's a good leader. I do not think this is a great leader for sealed. Number one, one of the most important factors with sealed is having more life on your leader. That's why I always suggest leaders that gain life or have 5 or more, or have 5 life. But when it comes to King, he only has 4 life, and his effect is very, very technical. It's way better for constructed. Even in constructed, it's struggling. Pudding, I would not recommend either. Ramping's never a bad thing on a leader. Excuse me. But if you're trying to ramp, then just go purple Luffy. You know what I mean? Because it's consistent ramp and it draws you the card and you have 5 life. I just would not recommend this leader for sealed. Okay, Albert, 4-cost 5K 1K counter. Activate main. You may trash this character if your leader has the Animal Kingdom Pirates type and you have 10 Dawn cards on your field. Play up to 1 king with a cost of 7 or less from your hand. This is just a 4-cost 5K body when it comes to sealed, unless all the stars align for you and you're running an Animal Kingdom Pirates type leader. But I think this is a solid 4-cost 5K. It's worth running if you have no other options. This other king as well, 7-cost, 8,000 power, on play, Dawn -1. If your opponent has 5 or more Dawn cards on their field, this character gains Rush. So playing this out for 7, returning 1 Dawn, swinging in for 8 on that turn, this is an excellent character. Removal and Rush go hand in hand in this game, especially in sealed. It almost acts as removal. Okay, I had to say that very slowly. That was hard to say all those syllables together or whatever. This little, the STST acts together. Okay, anyway, random tangent there. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, it's been a long day. Bear with me. Charlotte Oven, 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter. When attacking, Dawn -1, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 3 or less. This card is outstanding for sealed. Outstanding. Because worst case scenario, it's just a 5-cost 6K, 1K counter bruiser. We will take that every time. And then it also has the upside of just, getting the small blockers out of the way. Outstanding. Charlotte Katakuri, 2-cost, 3,000 power, 1K counter. Big Mom Pirates type. Activate main. You may trash this character if your leader has the Big Mom Pirates type. Play up to 1 Charlotte Katakuri from your hand with a cost of 3 or more. That is equal to or less than the number of Dawn cards in your opponent's field. We're not trying to do any tricks in sealed, guys. You just get what you get and you go from there. This is the card it's obviously built around. This card is actually decent as a 6-cost 7K, 1K counter body, but that's about it. the on play is very, very technical, very specific. You may turn one card from the top of your life cards face down and add up to one Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. I think the only way we can even access this card is with Pudding. So if you get this card, or a few of them, maybe try Purple Yellow Pudding out. I don't know. Charlotte Cracker, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter, activate main, once per turn, Dawn -1, play up to 1 Biscuit Warrior from your hand. It's just a solid 4 cost, 5k, 1k counter, we'll take it. Okay, Charlotte Smoothie, this is an auto-include, 7 cost, 9,000 power with a 1k counter, vanilla body, outstanding. Charlotte Brulee, 4 cost, 1,000 power, 1k counter, a blocker. There's not a ton of blockers in this set, guys, so we will take these, you know what I mean? We do take these. And then on KO, you can ramp a Dawn. So this is actually a very solid pick when it comes to sealed. Very good stuff. Charlotte Pudding is a 3 cost, 4,000 power, 1k counter. That effect is probably not going to happen very often, let's just be honest, unless you're running a leader that can do it built in. Like maybe run King if you can get a few of these. I don't know. I would suggest against it because this is a rare. I don't want to get too far into it, guys. Not a great choice for sealed. Awesome alt art. Charlotte Parasparrow. Now, this is a great card. 3 costs, 5,000 power, and then on KO, ramp a Dawn. And then trigger, you can return 1 Dawn and play this card. This has a trigger. It's a 3 cost, 5k, and it can on KO to, you know, when it gets KO'd, you can ramp a Dawn. Outstanding card for sealed. Excuse me. Charlotte Linlin. Okay, this is another incredible card for sealed, guys. 9 cost, 9,000 power, Dawn -1. On play, Dawn -1. You may trash 1 card from your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards, then add up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less to the top or bottom of your opponent's life cards face up. This card's just great, guys. This card's just an incredibly good card. It's a 9 cost 9k, bounces their character, gives us a life. We have to trash a card, but we just established this body and got rid of theirs. This card's excellent. Alt art looks incredible too. Baron Tamago, excuse me. 3 cost, 4,000 power, 1k counter blocker. Yep, we'll take it. The on KO is just extra. Count Neotori, 6 cost, 7,000 power, 1k counter. Everything else is extra. Biscuit Warrior, 5 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter with blocker. And under the rules of this game, you may have any number of this card in your deck. Now that applies anyway to sealed. If you somehow got so many of these cards, you could run all of them in your sealed deck, but you can also do that in constructed as well because of this card's effect. But generally speaking, this card, Biscuit Warrior, or excuse me, generally speaking, when it comes to sealed, if you open like 10 of the same card somehow, which I don't know how you'd be able to pull that off, but just assuming for this example, hypothetically, if you could run all of them in your deck. Because in sealed, it doesn't matter. There is no color restriction, and there is no amount restriction. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Viscount Hayako, 5 cost, 6k, 1k counter. Everything else is extra. We'll take it. Black Maria, 2k counter. We'll take that as well. Solid. Great alt art. Candy Maiden. This is a main Dawn -1. Rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. Then turn all of your life cards face down. Not really what we're trying to go for, right? Resting an opponent's character that costs 2 or less just doesn't really matter. The trigger is the best part about this card, and we can't rely on that. Adding 1 Dawn, adding up to 1 Dawn card from our Dawn deck and setting it as active. I would stay away from this one. It's to die for. 3 cost, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. And then if your opponent has a character with 6,000 power or more, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Trigger, at a ramp of Dawn active. The card's okay. It's a 3 cost ramp. I think that's all we should be going for with it. If you have a lot of really high Dawn characters to play for in the end game, like lots of big characters, absolutely include this. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Conquest of the Sea. Now, this is removal, guys, in rare form on an event. 6 costs, Dawn -2, KO 2 6 or less characters. But your leader does have to be Animal Kingdom or Big Mom Pirates type. Very solid. Ulti, 4 costs, 6k, 1k counter, vanilla. We'll take it. Kaido, we already talked about. Awesome alt art for Kaido. Queen, this is a 1 cost 2k searcher for Animal Kingdom Pirates. Used with caution. Awesome alt art for that as well. Guernica, this is a 1 cost 2,000 power 1k counter. It's a CP0 type card. When attacking, you may place 3 cards with a type including CP from your trash to the bottom of your deck, and KO a 0 cost character. Not really what we're going for. Okay, this is a 2k counter. We'll take it every time. Sheep's Head, 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1k counter, Dawn ×1, give all of your opponent's characters -1 cost. that's not really a great thing when it comes to sealed, guys. Just giving you a heads up. Jack, auto-include, incredible. All-star. Absolute MVP. 5 cost, 6,000 power, Jinbei here, no counter, but it does have Dawn ×1 when attacking. If you have a character with a cost of 8 or more, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Kind of hard to pull off in sealed unless you drew enough, or unless you pulled enough 8 or more characters like that. 8 cost or more characters. Jin Rummy, 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1k counter. If your opponent has characters with a cost of 0, draw 2 and trash 2. Again, it's hard to get characters to 0 consistently when it comes to sealed. I'm just saying I would stay away from it. Now, Scratchman Apu, this is incredible. Okay, it's just an uncommon as well. 4 cost, 5,000 power, so bruiser body with blocker and a 1k counter, and you can do cost reduction with it if you need to. This card, outstanding. Very good. 2k counter, we'll take it. Basil Hawkins, 7 cost, 9k. Yep, every time. Hamlet, 3 cost, 4,000 power, 1k counter. On play, play up to 1 smile type character card with a cost of 2 or less from the trash. Not really. It's too specific for what we're trying to do with sealed. Who's Who is an absolute stud. We'll take it every time. It's a rare 2k counter, 5 cost, 5,000 power, so it's got a bruiser body. On play, KOs of 3 or less. Trigger, KOs of 3 or less. Absolutely, we'll take it. Page 1. This is a rare card here, but check this out. You could potentially run this if you have ulti and get some extra value. 5 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter. On play, play up to 1 ulti with a cost of 4 or less from your trash. That could have some potential. We'll have to see. Excuse me. X-Drake, 4 cost, 6,000 power, no counter, but still just a great attacking body. And then Dawn ×1, this character gains +2 cost. That's not that bad. He ends up being like a 5 cost, 7k swinging, and then he has 6 cost. You know what I mean? So not too bad. Imperial Flame, 2 cost event here. Excuse me, guys. Main / counter, you may place 3 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. Activate main for the trigger. It is removal. It is worth mentioning that it is removal. That can pop a cost 2 or less. So who knows? Maybe there will be a way. I don't know. It's hard to sell on this card. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to. It'd be hard to sell me on this card because 2 cost and lower characters are just not a big deal when it comes to sealed. Not that they're worthless, especially like against a Zoro, but generally speaking, it's just not really what we're trying to do. Okay, Iron Body, Fang Flash. This is. See, I will say one more thing on this one. If you could get that Scratchman Apu, okay, the blocker, now can hit a 3 or less, and all of a sudden it becomes a little more valuable. But again, it's just not that great. Okay. Iron Body, Fang Flash, 2 cost, activate main. If you have 10 or more cards in your trash, up to one of your characters gains +2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. Okay? If you have 10 or more cards in your trash. So right away, I'm thinking no, not so much. Okay, Trigger can give +2,000 power during the turn to a leader or character. People's dreams don't ever end. Trash 1 card from the top of your deck, and if the trashed card has a cost of 6 or more, up to one of your leader or character cards gains +5,000 power during this battle. So it's a potential 1 cost 5k, but it requires you to set up the top of your deck. Trigger, play up to 1 black character card with the cost of 3 or less from your trash. I think you should stay away from this one. Same thing with this one. You know, trying to get 10 cards in your trash, it's just not dependable enough in sealed. Heliceratops, this is a 3 cost main. If your leader has Animal Kingdom type, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. Then KO a 0 cost character. Trigger, KO 3 or less. Not great. Not a great card. And then you're restricted to Animal Kingdom Pirates type. Not a huge fan. Okay, Calgara's probably not... No, never mind. I was going to say, this is not the worst character if you can get enough support with it from the set. But losing life in sealed is just always dangerous. I don't recommend it. Okay, 6 cost 8k. I do recommend this one, though. You know, not the leader, but this character, absolutely. Okay, the Southbird is just kind of whatever here, guys. This is not really... This is for searching up upper yard. This is not what we're trying to do. Charlotte Angel, we're not trying to play this when it comes to sealed. Pause and read it if you don't know what it does. Charlotte Opera's not bad, though, guys. 6 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter, Big Mom Pirates type. You may trash 1 card from your hand and KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost equal to or less than your opponent's life. Then your number of life cards. Excuse me, I had that backwards. That's not actually that bad, because if you're playing him on turn 3 on curve, you'll probably have 3 to 4 life left if you count it out and stuff like that. So playing him out for a 6 cost 6k that pops a 3 or 4, that's worth trashing a card for when it comes to sealed, guys. At least a lot of the times. You know, not always, of course, but it's pretty good. And it's a 1k counter. Or even if you can't use the on play, it's a 6 cost 6k. Okay. Charlotte Custard, activate main, add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. Up to 1 of your characters gains plus 1,000 power to the end of your opponent's next turn. Not really what we're trying to do, but it can make your leader plus 1,000, but you're losing a life in the process. It's a little too technical. Charlotte Poyer, I don't know how to say that. Sorry, guys. 1 cost, 2,000 power, 1k counter. These little tiny characters I would stay far, far away from in sealed, unless you just have no other options, or if you're running a deck like Zoro where you're trying to get as many bodies on the board as possible. The trigger, you can trash 1 card from your hand and play this card, then draw a card. So it kind of cycles and plays the card. Bonney, I already talked about this. Auto-include, incredible card. Great alt art as well. Nami, I think, is also an auto-include if you can include enough triggers in your deck to actually get this effect off. But worst case scenario, it's a 5 cost 5k with a 1k counter. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great card. Nice alt art. 1 cost, 2,000 power, 1k counter. Activate main. This is for Charlotte Pudding. Skipping this, guys. Not really what we're trying to do. Mont Blanc. Cricket, 4 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter. There's a lot of really strong vanillas in this set, guys. Like, that's a good thing for sealed. Mont Blanc Noland, 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter, and then on play, if your leader is Shandian Warriors and you have Calgara character in play, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. No, not really what we're trying to do, guys. I'm sorry, it's just not really the thing. I would not run this. I mean, unless you're trying to run it as a 5 cost 6k body because you have no other options, then I wouldn't do it. 2k counter on a 4 cost 5k body, outstanding. Who cares what it does? Same thing with the alt art, looks awesome. 4 cost 5,000 power, 1k counter body. Dawn ×1, when attacking, your opponent cannot activate blocker. Trigger, trash 1 card from your hand, and if you have 2 or less life cards, play this card. Excellent. Outstanding. We will take it every time. S Snake, excuse me. 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter. On play, up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, other than Luffy. Or, excuse me, up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, other than Luffy. Yeah, I did say that right. Cannot attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Trigger, activate the on play. This is a great card. There's not a whole lot of Luffy cards in this set, guys. So this will hit like 90% of, you know, well, okay. I don't want to say 90% of cards. I don't know what the exact numbers are. But any cost 6 or less character in play that's not Luffy, it's hitting it. And that's a good thing. And you're establishing a 5 cost 6k body. Outstanding. But it is a SR. Great. Alt art. S Bear, a 3 cost 4,000 power, 1k counter. It has no effect, but it does have a trigger. You may trash 1 card from your hand, and if you have 2 or less life cards, play this card and KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Not bad. It can help get around blockers, but there's not a lot of low-cost blockers that we saw. You know what I mean? There's not too many of them, so not the best card either. But, hey, 3 cost, 4,000 power card with a 1k counter. It's not terrible. And that is a common. Okay, S-Hawk is a rare 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter, Egghead Seraphim. Dawn ×1, if you have less life cards than your opponent, this character cannot be KO'd in battle by slash attribute characters and gains plus 2,000 power. So, that's pretty good, right? And then trigger, you may trash 1 card from your hand, and if you have 2 or less life cards, play this card. So, this card is basically like a 5 cost 7k. You know what I mean? But you have to invest 1 Dawn every turn to keep it. As long as you have less life than your opponent, he just helps get you back in the game. I think this card's excellent. I think this is a solid card. Okay, the Earth will not lose. 1 cost event here. Counter if your leader has Shandian Warrior type. I'm just going to skip it then, guys. We're not trying to... You don't want to run... I don't think you want to run Calgara. I'm sorry. Not in a sealed draft, guys. Burn Bazooka. Up to 1 of your leader or characters gains plus 4,000 power during this battle. It's a 2 cost event. Then you may add 1 card from the... You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand. And if you do, add up to 1 Shandian Warrior type card from your hand to the top of your life cards face up. That's actually not horrible, because if you do have like the 6 cost 8k and he's in the trash, you can play this out later and then put him back on top, you know, draw the top card of your life. And by the way, you may do that. You don't have to. But it's a 4k, it's a 2 cost 4k counter with potential upside. I think it's not bad. Burn Blade, 5 cost for an event. That's a lot. Main, trash 1 card from the top of your life and then KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 7 or less. Trigger, add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand, and add up to 1 card from your hand to the top of your life cards. So the trigger will let you set your life card. Like you'll take 1 card from your life, and then you'll set the top card from your hand. That's decent, but a 5 cost event like this, guys, I'm not a huge fan of this, to be honest. But it does KO a 7 or less. It is removal, so it is worth considering. Okay, now for the secret rares, guys. We're almost done. Don't worry. I know this took a while. Silver's Rayleigh. I already talked about this card, guys. It's an 8 cost 8k that pops a 6 or less when it comes into play and makes another character weaker for the turn. Read it, pause it, and read it if you don't know what it, like the full text of what it does. This is an outstanding card. If you get it, it's probably an auto include. Got the alt art for it. Got the manga for it. Kaido and Linlin. This is a new 10 cost 12k Kaido Linlin combination card, right? And this is a insane effect, guys. Listen to what it does. When attacking, Dawn -10, KO all characters other than this character, and then add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards, and trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life cards. This is like the game ender. If you establish this down in 1 turn and they don't beat you on that next turn, you probably have the game in the bag. If you have this, if you bust this open as a secret rare, I would probably run it. Okay, and then here's the alt art parallel for it. And then there's a few specials as well. We got Jewelry Bonney, the 1 cost, pay 1 and tap it. Top 5 search for a Supernova. Gecko Moria, 4 cost 5k, 1k counter, does a search, or it grabs a card from your trash. That's 7 Warlords or Thriller Bark that costs 4 or less and is not Gecko. Queen. Now, this card is insane, guys. 5 cost 6k, 1k counter, blocker, draw 2, trash 1. We know what he does. And then Tashigi, the 2k counter, the Navy one. And then we have Ace. 7 cost, 7,000 power. On play, give 2 characters -3,000 power for the turn, and if your leader's Whitebird Pirates, gains Rush. Oh, excuse me, there's one more. Charlotte Pudding as well. This is the last one. Top 4 searcher for Sanji and Big Mom Pirates. Okay, that was it, guys. We're done. Pausing. Let me hop over to the sim now, guys. We got one more game to go over, and we're gonna wrap this up. Whew, that was brutal, guys. I was trying to go through that as fast as I could. I'm sorry if it was a little bit sloppy. My apologies. But these are things you got to look for, guys. Oh, let me go full screen here. These are things you have to look for when it comes to sealed. If you're going by the formula that I said, I'll try to put a formula down in the comment section below and leave some relevant links down there to like other draft guides. You have 40 cards in your deck. I would put around 8 to 10 as 2k counters. I would put as many bruisers in there as you can afford. And then I would fill the deck out with any kind of removal, card draw, or bosses that you can include. Card draw, removal, bosses. Blockers as well. Blockers and bruisers are going to be the main part of the deck. At least that's how I would build it. Okay, now let's hop into this game, guys. Volume is on. Hang on. Volume's off now. And then let's go 2x speed. And we're good to go. So we got a game here versus Jewelry Bonney as Lucci, and this is the Air Door version of Lucci, but spoiler warning, I don't draw Air Door this game, and it's very frustrating. This ends up being a very close game when it probably shouldn't have, because I just didn't see what I was looking for. Okay, swing for 5 there. I'm still playing 2 Brooks, I believe, in this list, and I will show that at the end of this game. Brooks just good at cleaning up all the garbage on the board. Okay, so I'm trying to check my trash right now, because I want to do a tempo Kaku on the next turn. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to swing for 5, and I hopefully fill it up, and I do. I was able to get it. I was able to get enough CP cards in my trash. So I'm going to go ahead and play out the Kaku. I'm going to bottom deck, out of those 3 options, I bottom deck the Kaku and the Lucci, because I have another Lucci in my hand. Okay? And then I just think Khalifa's a better target from the trash than Kaku is. Though not technically, though. It just depends. So 7 into my Brook there. Gonna let that go. I'm not trying to save that card. It's done its job, and I can get it back anytime I need to with my leader effect or with my Brook. Rebecca, excuse me, guys. I can get my Brook back anytime with my Rebecca. Okay, so I draw a card there with Tempest Kick. This card's kind of annoying. I'm seeing what they want to do though. I'm gonna swing for 5 and fill up my trash. He can tap that card down if he wants to. I don't really care. But what I need to do here is I need to keep filling up my trash so I can get extra value later in the game. I'm going to play out the Bluno. Anyone seen that card before? Pause and read it. It's just a Dawn ×1. It gives a blocker. And then on KO, it can grab a 3 or less card from your trash that is CP types, which I don't actually have any relevant types right now. Okay, I'm just going to block and give him a 1k counter, though. We'll take that. He plays out the Jewelry Bonney Searcher, gets his Dawn back at the end of the turn from Uruj, and he established a Basil Hawkins that turn. Okay, I'm not in a great spot. I can tell you that much right now. I'm not in a great spot. We're going to swing for 5, and I'll give -1 there. I'm trying to fill up my trash. There's an Air Door. I would have liked to see that Air Door in the beginning of the game. Okay. So right now, I am going to have to start getting rid of some of these characters, though. That is for sure. And I think I'm just going to settle for the Uruj and the Jewelry Bonney. So we'll go ahead and play all this stuff right here out. I can't block. I didn't even have a 2-cost target, guys. By the way, that was horrible. That was a really rough. I'm having a really rough game. We'll look at the list afterwards. It could use some improvements. Right here, I choose not to swing with my Bluno because if they have a 10-cost Dofi, then I'm going to be too locked down. Does that make sense? And look at this. Swing for 5. I'm like, oh, okay. Sounds like Dofi to me. I take it. Let's see what they play. Just waiting on them. They play out of Basil Hawkins. I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, that's pretty good, though, right? Basil Hawkins is not exactly bad. All right, but I did just get a Kaku from the top. I'm a big fan of that. I think this card's incredible. Like Kaku and Who's Who and Jack. Now, notice this is an OP07 list. Okay, that is one thing I want to say is notice you're not seeing anything from OP08, like Who's Who and like Jack, like I just said. Those aren't in here yet. So right here, it's time to put the gas on him here. You know, it's time to start going face with everything. Because I don't want him to be able to set up and hide behind a Zoro. Right here, if he lets this go, guys, that means he has like a Eustace Kid, Zoro, Hody Jones, and like something else. A Doflamingo. Yeah, there you go. Like, if you don't protect your Basil Hawkins from a 7K attack into a 7K, you have no counter in hand. Now that he's told me that information, I'm like, well, you're done, right? I mean, you're done. We'll swing in for 9 here. Okay. Just making sure I do this right. I'm like, you know what? Hang on. I'm going to swing for 10, 10, 11. All right, 10. Give me the blocker. 11. GG. We mathed him out of the game. That was a good game. Again, I didn't see any air door, so that was not a spicy game, guys. Like, it was, you know, we still were able to get there in the end without the stage, without anything from OP08. But not seeing air doors just made the game so boring. I love that card, air door. I think it's a lot of fun. Yes, I understand there's a lot of RNG elements to it and randomness, but I'm just a big fan of that one. Now, let's check out the game and wrap it up, guys. This video has gone on for so long. This is the version I'm running. Notice there's not a lot of help for the 2 costs. Whoops, let me move my face. Almost forgot that. There we go. Notice there's not a lot of 2-cost love for Gecko Moria. I mean, we have like 4 targets, right? Or, excuse me, 8. We've got 2 Surus, 2 Helmeppos, and 4 Spandam. The target that I want is Spandam, right? That's what I want to keep filling up my trash, draw cards, and then, you know, and of course I have these air doors for filling up my trash too. But man, I didn't see a single air door this game or a single Spandam. It was so frustrating, and that hurts. But hey, we were still able to pull it off against Bonney, which I know that's kind of like a card that, or a deck that we do pretty well against. One thing I do want to mention, let me type in OP08 real quick and go to the black cards. Jack, that was perfect, right? My mouse was just already over it. It's like it was meant to be. Jack, Who's Who, and those are the 2 main ones. I mean, Kaido's decent, but I'm not really going for that. Let me just say this. Jack and Who's Who are pretty much just going straight into the deck. Okay, they're going straight into there, and then I think it's going to be pretty much a modified version of what you see here. At that point, I can probably go down to 2 Kakus or something like that. Because remember, guys, the stage is gone. There is no stage. So all of a sudden, Brook is no longer the greatest card out there. I'm running as a 2 of because it still does have utility. It's annoying. It's a nuisance. They have to deal with it. It's still a great card and a great target for Rebecca when I don't have Spandines in the trash. But ultimately, Kaku is pulling all the heavyweight right now because he is a 5-cost, 6K, 1K counter, searchable CP card that can pop. You ready for this, guys? He can pop a 3-cost. If you attack with the leader, he's popping a 4-cost. And if you use an Ice Age, it's a 9, or a Tempest Kick, and it's an 8. Right? Or hang on, a 7. Excuse me, I can't even do math. So it's one of those things where it's like the card is just extremely good. And since we're running the Air Door version, I can literally snag a Kaku off of Air Door. So there is something to be said there. I will mess with the numbers later. I might even go down a single Gecko Moria, move some numbers around. Bluno's okay. It's kind of cute, I guess. But the thing is this, I kind of wanted to add Fukuro back to the list because he can't be KO'd and he's a little blocker, and he's a 3-cost CP blocker. I can search him up with Spandam, and you can get a lucky air door trigger and just win the game off of like a Fukuro, right? Because let me see, play up to 1 black character card with the cost of 3 or less from your trash. Like, not rested. Now Bluno brings the card into play rested, but this can bring back something like the 4-cost Kaku. He can bring a card like this into play, or a card like Rob Lucci, or it has to be a CP card, right? Yeah, CP in its types. It can grab Khalifa, Kaku, Lucci, and bring it straight into play from Bluno. So I think there's something to be said there. I think it could be decent. But Air Door can bring back any 3-cost or less, 3-cost or lower character. So yeah, it can bring back a Spandam if you need to do a search. It can bring back Fukuro if you needed a blocker, and it can bring back even like a Brook, you know, if you need it as well. And remember, Air Door doesn't bring it into play rested. Only Bluno does. So I do think there's something to be said there. There could be some potential there. Okay, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. I'm done. We're wrapping it up. Big shout out to everybody who supports this channel, guys. Thank you so much to everybody. Whether you're liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, or just viewing my videos, thank you so much, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who supported me by buying the play mats. I still have some of those left, guys. I still got some play mats left. I think about 25 or 30 left. And then also, last but not least, the patrons page here. Big shout out to everybody on the VV Pirates patron page just for helping me out, just for donating, just to trying to make sure the channel succeeds. I really appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much. All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, or if I mess something up, help me out in the comment section below. And yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.